AEW All Out this Saturday. I had to kind of hold myself right there because we're just coming off of All In.
I noticed.
When it comes to All Out, this is the sixth AEW All Out in their company's history. 5 out of the 6 have taken place in the Chicago area. 4 out of the 6 have taken place specifically in this arena in the suburbs of Chicago, with one rare exception at the United Center. And can you guess, Brandon, where the 1 out of the 5 out of 6 that didn't occur in the Chicago area, where that one occurred?
Probably Dealey's place.
Daly's place, and can you guess when it occurred?
Oh gosh, probably during that COVID thing, right?
Yes, yeah. Right. During the pandemic, it occurred. Or I'd imagine we'd be 6 out of 6 from Chicago.
Yes.
If that didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
This seems, I don't know why they don't just have some sort of better Chicago-based name for this pay-per-view, because it is essentially, and it's weird because this pay-per-view is really born out of AEW, out of All In, right? We have now had 2 AEW All Ins, but those pay-per-views aren't born out of the All In pay-per-view that was unaffiliated. I feel like this pay-per-view is born out of that because, again, All In was essentially, to all intensive accounts, the precursor to AEW in general, and then this was the first pay-per-view of the start of the company, in which was leading towards the television deal and stuff. I know Double or Nothing was the first ever pay-per-view, but this was the first one that was starting into the fall where they got the TV deal and all that. So, but either way, it's a pay-per-view that's here to stay, I believe. Again, next year AEW is doing Forbidden Door at the end of August. So they're still going to keep that like 2 pay-per-views within a 2-week span thing going on. I don't know what's up, but I will give AEW credit. This pay-per-view, it is tough, and booking pay-per-views and booking wrestling in general, it's a tougher job than you think. You're thinking into the future, and as I'm watching it in real time, I'm going, how can you have anything of interest in 2 weeks at a pay-per-view in a small arena when you're trying to sell out this massive stadium, and you're building that pretty much all summer long? And in somehow, some way, they've got some interesting matches here. Nonetheless, I think we're going to main event with the match we'll talk about first. Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page, a lights out steel cage match. I think that's your main event. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think they, not only is it the most intriguing storyline, not only in the short term that we've had in the last couple weeks, but just long term. It's long term story booking and storyline, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually glad it's a cage match. Like, I feel like it needs to be in a cage at this point. I feel like it's going to get nasty in there, and I do think it is the match of this card, which as of recording, it looks like it's an 8-match card, which is kind of light for AEW.
Yeah, no, I mean, who knows what they'll add to 0 hour and all that nonsense. But yeah, I agree with you. And lights out is essentially an old school term for like unsanctioned kind of match. They're gonna flicker the lights really quickly, and all of a sudden then this match will happen. I think that's why they call it a lights out match, because it is normally typically your main event. It is your like the card's over and then we add this to it kind of match. I'm interested, and for all the people out there, you know what? Some people out there tried to ruin the magic of the story of this match, but then I saw people out here actually proving the magic to be more magical than we thought. So what I mean by that is people were showing the Swerve Strickland house in which he purchased months ago and posted to social media, and then they were posting the house that Hangman Adam Page was in front of that was on fire this past week on Dynamite, where he set fire to Swerve Strickland's house, right? And people were like, if you're going to do the magic, you got to do it right, because it's not even the same house. How ridiculous, looking stupid. You know what I mean? Back in the day, I don't know if we'd be so nitpicky. I wasn't, but fans out there were nitpicky. So then fans got even more nitpicky to actually show that it's just a different angle, but it is indeed the correct house. That the house that Swerve Strickland posted in front of that he purchased is indeed the same house that was set on fire in the background of Dynamite this past week, with Hangman Adam Page sitting in front of it. So just a different angle of the house. So all those fans out there who were like, he's just burning down a random house, and then trying to go back in time to show that this is just silly wrestling. Well, people went, and did their research and showed actually they did do their homework at AEW, and this was indeed the right house. I think it's going to be a good match. I like that it's not for championships because that I think is what makes this pay-per-view a little bit better because of the fact that we don't have too many championships in that sense on the line here. We have more of these, for better word, blood feuds. So it does feel like the backlash to their WrestleMania. And we don't have to have championship matches, but we do have a championship match, and this is why I don't like championship matches, because following Bryan Danielson winning at All In, he's defending against Jack Perry in that Backlash Elimination Chamber spot, if you will, for WWE terms, where he takes on Jack Perry, Bryan Danielson, and clearly is going to win this and move forward to his next challenger. I mean, do you see Bryan Danielson losing the belt 2 weeks after he got it and then retiring from AEW at this pay-per-view?
I don't think it makes any sense for him to lose. I'm just wondering how they're going to deliver a quality match, considering we already know the result. So I'll say this: I will give this match its due, as long as they deliver in a good fashion, a good story, good back and forth action, some other crazy shenanigans. As long as they make it interesting, the result is what it is. But just make it fun and good, and I'll be happy.
Well, Ospreay's going to take on Pac. Now, remember, Pac was already waiting in the wings. It was one of the first matches announced for this card that he'd be taking on whoever was the international champion at that time, MJF, the American champion. But Will Ospreay made it back to the international championship after beating him at All In, and he'll be facing Pac. Will Ospreay, as I've said, and with Pac, too. I mean, remember, he is the man years ago that WWE claimed is the man Gravity forgot, right? So,
yeah,
we get this encounter, which I think should be high-flying, very entertaining. Obviously, I think Will Ospreay retains in this sense as well. And we moving on to a match, that, a blood feud, no titles on the line. I'm looking forward to MJF, Daniel Garcia. They started this rivalry early in the summer. I was at the AEW in Buffalo, Daniel Garcia's home, and where we started moving towards this rivalry with MJM kind of playing the face card a little bit. But now it's happened. Daniel Garcia showed up in London. He got involved in that international championship match. And here we are, MJF versus Daniel Garcia. I think this is going to be a good one as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just watching how they performed a great segment, both of them, great segment this past week on Dynamite. I think Daniel Garcia and MJF pointed it out. Probably his best work on the microphone I've ever seen Daniel Garcia do, and I'm glad to see it because Daniel Garcia is a really good wrestler. I just thought for the longest time he was lacking with his microphone skills. He showed out. He did a great job on Dynamite this past week. I mean, and it doesn't surprise me because MJF brings out the best or the worst, I guess, so to speak, in competitors, and of course, MJF set a trap, and it ended up with Daniel Garcia getting smashed in the head with a champagne bottle. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. I will take Daniel Garcia in this match.
I don't know who I'm going to take in this match. I think it's going to be entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Daniel Garcia probably as well, winning this match. As for the other matches, I mean, we didn't even really pick Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page other than it's going to be a good blood feud. Yeah. I see Swerve Strickland winning this match in that sense of coming off of the loss for the championship, but getting back and winning the match at the pay-per-view. What do you say about that one?
I will go on the other side of that. I'll go Hangman Adam Page. I think Hangman's going to get the match. I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be everything you look for in a main event. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching. I'm watching Hangman Adam Page defeat Swerve Strickland.
One match that I think is a bigger one than people may be realizing. It's because we talked about that All-In card, very bloated. A lot of people kind of, didn't maybe need to be on that card. 4.5 hours long. Just a lot, right? And one person who maybe got lost in the shuffle and maybe didn't keep up with the crowd and keep people as entertained because she came on later in the show and people were saying, I don't know. I think that Mariah May and Toni Storm match should have went on later in the show if we were going to get what we got from Mercedes Moné. And, well, now it's her chance to step up because I think she was probably one of the most disappointing parts of All In, and a lot of people kind of are on that sentiment. But 2 weeks later, she's back on pay-per-view, right? She's here. She's got a singles match to defend her TBS championship with Camille banned from ringside. Do we need to see Mercedes Moné kind of show out at this pay-per-view after her kind of lackluster performance, getting lost in that really long pay-per-view out in London?
100%. I'm not gonna lie. I've been on record for saying this since she's been in AEW. Honestly, I think it's fallen flat. To be honest with you, I'm not really entertained with Mercedes Moné. It's just, to me, I feel like they've. I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it's AEW as a whole. I don't know if it's. I know one of the former WWE writers is over there now. Creative is over in AEW, which worked closely with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. I don't know if Jen Pepperman is. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't feel like they're. I feel like she's not being positioned very well. I feel like she would have been better off, and yes, I'm going to say this. I think she would have been better off going back as Sasha Banks in WWE. That's just my opinion. But, for the match that's ahead for the TBS Championship, I think it's a great place for Mercedes to put on a great show. Shida is one of the best in the world. She's been doing it for a long time. She's been a champion all over the world, including AEW. And I think this is the type of match that Mercedes Moné not only needs to win, but they need to show out as well. Because I honestly think Mercedes Moné, this whole thing with her, the whole gimmick, everything that she's done, I personally feel like it's fallen flat.
She was a huge signing, and I can tell you, just in the comparison standpoint, because she was a huge signing and they dedicated that whole show to her back in Boston, that she needs to be that. She's a really great women's wrestler, and there's other good women's wrestlers at AEW, but right now I just kind of compare briefly it over to what Rhea Ripley is doing in WWE, where Rhea Ripley doesn't feel like man versus woman versus, as a good female. She just feels like an integral part. She feels as, when her music hits, I think it's the same as when Cody Rhodes' music hit or Jey Uso's music hit. It's right up there as equal. So in that sense, Mercedes needs to have that in AEW. She can't just be an important woman on the card. She has to be a real integral part of the card either way, and I think she's kind of fallen flat on that. Like I said, Toni Storm and Mariah May put on a better show at the last pay-per-view than she did. And moving on to Okada, who is the Continental Champion right now. He's going to take on 3 other guys in a fatal 4-way on the upcoming Collision, which is, as of recording, a few hours from now in the same arena as All In. Orange Cassidy takes on Brian Keith, the winner to advance to that match. Lance Archer takes on Mark Briscoe, with the winner advancing to that match. And Takeshita takes on the Beast Mortis, who advances to that match. So 3 qualifiers to take on Okada. But either way, I think if anyone is going to win this championship that isn't Okada, who's already in this match, I'm going to go with Mark Briscoe.
You know what? If Okada doesn't win, I'll go Orange Cassidy. I think Orange Cassidy, I think, the fans love him. His gimmick's cool. Like, I've jokingly said before, like, turn on Dynamite at 8 o'clock, you're probably going to get Orange Cassidy, and that's how it was for a long time. And there's a reason for it. He's entertaining. He's good in the ring. He's got a great shtick. And for me, if I had to bet on it, I would say Okada's going to retain. But if I had to pick somebody that's not Okada, that's the other 3, Orange Cassidy would be my favorite, but I'm still going to say Okada retains.
Young Bucks taking on the Blackpool Combat Club, a tag team match, not any crazy gimmicks or ladders or anything going on here. Just the tag team championships on the line. I could go either way. I guess the question is does Jon Moxley, since his return after All In, does he have some sort of involvement, or is he just staying away from this pay-per-view kind of in general, or away from the Blackpool Combat Club in general?
I feel like he's doing his own thing at this point. I feel like that's kind of where he's going. He's got, what is her name? Marina Shafir. I know that's Roderick Strong's his real life wife. That was an interesting pairing. Like I watched them come. They were backstage. They did a backstage shot where she's just taking everybody out. So I don't know what they're doing with her. Well, I'm kind of interested in that. We'll see what she does there. But yeah, with this whole thing with Mox and Shafir, I think they're just going to do their own thing. I would be surprised if they get involved. But I'll say this. I don't know why, but I think the Young Bucks. My guess is the Young Bucks are going to retain. It's just a gut feeling.
I'm not a huge fan of moving on to Willow Nightingale. As we, from a promo perspective,
She's not
already,
great promo.
Yeah, I'm not really buying her promos. It's just I get it what she's trying to do. It's a different character. It's not, the same similar,
It's
it feels
generic.
like Bailey. It feels like she's trying to be like Bailey back
That's
in the
what
day.
I always say. She's like and I've said this before. I've said it in different ways, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but she's like a thrift store Bailey. Like Bailey's already got that kind of gimmick going. Willow needs to find a different gear. I feel like she needs to be different. I feel like she's not as different as some of the wrestling community thinks she is. She has the skills. I think she has enough in the total package to be a star. I just don't think this is the right thing for her. I think they need to just kind of revamp her, retool her, and repackage her, as they say in the business, and do something with that.
Well, she's got an opportunity in the ring or outside the ring even to do something interesting this weekend, and this may be why she is as popular. We'll see, because she's in a Chicago street fight against Chris Statlander, and I think this match has an opportunity to be the best women's match on this card. I'm looking forward to this match, and again, it's a good chance for Willow Nightingale to shine and to really show herself out. So we'll see how.
Well, here's the other thing, dude. It would show her almost like a heel side in a way. You know what I mean? Like she can do some things that you don't expect somebody in that Bailey hugger ilk to do. This would be the great platform for her to get nasty and just have a hell of a match. It's a street fight, so I'm sure we're gonna get blood. It's AEW. It's probably what's gonna happen. And I will say this: as much as you and I both, we're not trying to trash Willow Nightingale. We obviously want to see the best product out there. We just want to see different things from her. So again, we're not trashing her, because I know there's a lot of people in the internet wrestling community that are like all about Willow Nightingale. I don't have a problem with her. I just think she needs to change that style. I think she needs to be a little bit different in that way, and I think this is a great match for her to do it. And I'm going to pick her to beat Chris Statlander in the street fight.
Closing out here and kind of rewinding a little bit to Jon Moxley, he kind of indicated some things, I guess you would say, when he made his return to Tony Schiavone, about things changing around here and stuff like that, and maybe his time being limited and kind of being cryptic. So I guess we'll go out with the big, will this or will this not happen? So whether it's with Jon Moxley or without Jon Moxley, but in general, do we see Shane McMahon at All In Chicago? Or All Out in Chicago?
Yeah, I know. All In, All Out. It's all in the same couple weeks. I know. And it's Chicago.
And it's AEW, which is all elite. Yeah, so a lot of alls here.
Yeah, a lot of alls. Same city, usual thing. You know what? And I've been wrong on this before. I've been wrong on this a few times, let's be honest. Well, why not go for it and say Shane's going to be there this weekend?
We got AEW.
Wait. Hey, what do you think though?
This weekend, I don't know, actually. WWE is doing a lot of things right now, and I think you're going to pull, if you want to pull out something big like this, it seems about right. I mean, Tony Khan just recently made a comment, the same similar comment, that we're like on the cusp of some big moment in history when it comes to pro wrestling. He says things like that a lot, though. We already got oversaturated with his I got a big announcement coming stuff. But I say if Shane McMahon is coming, it's sooner rather than later. I'll say that much about this.
Fair enough.
As this pay-per-view is coming to you from the Now Arena, formerly the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates. They got a lot of arenas out there in Chicago, and this one is the furthest away from the city. Downtown, you got United Center. You also have the Wintrust Arena, both arenas, which AEW has run, Wintrust Arena being the smaller one, and United Center being obviously the biggest one. You have the Allstate Arena, which is in suburban Chicago, about 15 miles outside of the city, but that obviously is one that AEW has not run, because that is exclusively a WWE run arena. And then you have this one even further out, like another 20 minutes outside past the Allstate Arena to the Now Arena. So I mean, Chicago's got to be like the arena capital of the world. I don't know about you, but they got a lot of arenas going on. They even have their own. Like AEW runs 3 out of 4. WWE runs their own one that is not one of those 3 out of 4. just crazy going on. And, there's other ones that they could even run. I think the UIC Pavilion is one that AEW, we know about their crowds. They could run something like that because that's like a 2,000-3,000 seat place. So there's lots of opportunities to run lots of different sized venues in Chicago. And we all know this is the one, and this is why I set it apart. It's kind of the precursor because this is the arena in where All In, when it was unaffiliated back in 2018, when they just told Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, I don't think you can sell 10,000 seats. This is the arena they sold 10,000 seats. But kind of funny with all of that, this pay-per-view will not have 10,000 people at it.
100% a fact.